Hello and welcome to iBuzz. I'm your host, Nosheen Bukhari, bringing you the most exciting and entertaining news from the showbiz world, followed by a discussion between BAFTA and Oscar jury. First things first, let me quickly take you to the top stories of the day. Golden Globes organizer expel former president over Black Lives Matter email. Sundance darling Coda to debut in theaters and on Apple TV Plus in August. EDC Las Vegas postpones festival to October because of COVID-19 effect. Prince fans headed to Paisley Park 5 years after death. And despite the racism accusation, Sharon Osbourne posted an Insta story in support of late George Floyd. Coming to the top story of the day. Despite the racism accusations, Sharon Osbourne posted an Instagram story in support of late George Floyd. Sharon Osbourne, who was expelled from the show The Talk over her supportive remarks on Piers Morgan's stand against Meghan Markle, has been under the wrath of activists who accused Sharon of siding with the racism. To discuss this further, we have Maryam Qaiser on board, who happens to be an entertainment journalist. Maryam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So we know that it all started from the bombshell interview by Meghan Markle, and then, friends went poles apart. But is there any code of conduct that applies on these celebrities, especially the celebrities who host talk shows, which can, prevent them and also, their career to be destroyed just in seconds, just like that?
I think over the last 2 decades, there's been a significant rise in the number of celebrity cultures on our TV screens. Over the years, we've seen the entertainment industry soar from actors to actresses to reality stars to social media influencers. And the celebrity culture isn't what we used to know it back in the day, especially with the rise of social media and technology. And I think in the UK, we have to, we have got laws and code of conduct like the invasion of privacy, defamation, slander and accuracy. And for us, it's really important as journalists that we obey these rules. To avoid these situations.
Right. So what is the reason? I mean, are these laws not implemented? Because we're seeing these cases happening every now and then. Previously, it was Piers Morgan. Now it's Sharon Osbourne. Why do we see these things happening very often on TV? I mean, is there no implementation of these laws?
There is. I mean, as TV hosts and journalists like yourself and me, freedom of speech and freedom of expression is really important, especially in this country. It's a big tradition and it's really important. And, we're simply exercising the same right as everybody else as freedom of speech. And everyone's entitled to their opinion. And what Piers Morgan said on Good Morning Britain was his opinion on Meghan and her interview with Oprah Winfrey. And I think he's a great journalist, in particularly in the last year, he's tried to hold the government accountable on their way of handling the pandemic. And Piers he was an editor of the Mirror, where I used to work, and he had an interesting point to say that he oppressed was against the war in Iraq, and yet we've got to look at those good issues about him. But what was deemed unacceptable by the public was when Piers told viewers that he didn't believe Meghan over her claims of mental health and suicidal, which sparked 41,000 complaints with Ofcom. And we all know very well how online bullying and trolls can have a detrimental effect on one's mental health, and nobody should be subject to this. Piers also cast doubts on Meghan's claims that someone in the Royal Institute made comments about Archie's skin colour. Now, I'm not sure why anyone would lie about that either, about being a victim of racism. You just wouldn't. It's one thing having a heated debate, but it's one thing accusing someone of lying and constantly attacking them, especially without proof. You mentioned Sharon Osbourne and her departure from CBS. She was only defending her friend Piers over his controversial comments, but during the heated exchange with co-host Cheryl Underwood, Sharon was asking Cheryl to give her examples of when Pierce has been racist. But why is a burden of explaining racism falling on the person of color? Shouldn't Sharon already know what's right and what's wrong? Sharon was shouting, educate me. But why are we educating people about racism? This is the 21st century, and we're a diverse nation, and racism is...
Right. Maryam, do you think that the canceling or firing these hosts from the shows is going to set an example for the others, or this is something which you do not see justifying to their career? I mean, how do you see this cancel culture after one person making a mistake? And later we even saw Sharon Osbourne apologizing for it. But do you think that this should be in practice in order to set an example for the others, or there should be another way around?
I don't think we can just go around sort of asking people to step down and cancel at every little thing. But you know, some people major like this, and I think Piers Morgan made the right decision to step down from Good Morning Britain. I think that he did the right decision, and it was evident that some people thought that he had a long-standing feud with Meghan and took the wrong stance towards Meghan's interview on Oprah. Not to mention the day later walking off air when he was having a heated debate with co-host Alex Beresford. The whole thing was very uncomfortable watching on Monday morning. I think we can all agree. Yeah.
Right. So Sharon has also uploaded an apology on social media, but do you think that this is going to help make a difference in winning her space back? Because currently it was decided for Sharon that she has been removed from the show, The Talk, and then Sharon herself said that she's removing herself from this show. But since she's an old lady who might find it struggling to win the space back, do you think that this apology can help her doing so?
I'm not sure it'll win her space back, but let's acknowledge the fact that she's issued an apology first, and that's it was a heartfelt apology. It was a long apology, and she did admit her mistakes, and she admitted that she offended people with her comments, and I think that's really big of her to do that. And I think it will make terms in difference going forward with other co-hosts and talk shows, that it might make them think twice how they act, and to keep the comments balanced and impartial and professional as well. There's one thing, sort of expressing your views, but it's how you do it, and in the process, do not offend people either. It might win her space back up. I'm not sure. Let's see. But I do think she apologized, and that's really big of her. So yeah.
Right. So what, in your opinion, what kind of measures should be taken globally by the entertainment industry exclusively to prevent such uncomfortable events? And then, of course, there are celebrities, and since this talk show was not scripted, most of these talk shows, when they turn into a heated debate, it is clear that there is no script that is being followed. It's just like you said, that it's an opinion being exchanged. But do you think there should be some strict measure to prevent such uncomfortable events in the future?
Yeah, I mean, these situations are really uncomfortable, and as a viewer, you don't want to be sitting there watching this. But of course, having debates is healthy. You learn from both sides of the argument. You learn what's important to other people as well. But there is a limit, and you don't cross that. And I think keeping it professional at all times is really important. It's one thing having a debate and having a conversation, but it's one thing being rude and offensive and aggressive. And we have got quite a lot of that on our TVs at the moment. And I think we're never going to agree on everything, but if journalists and TV hosts and people within our celebrity and journalism industry are going to be racist or offensive, the public are never going to learn, because it's on TV, it's in your papers, the nation's never going to learn. And I think what we're doing in England, we are trying to bring the nation together and not create any more divisions. And I think, the entertainment industry and the news and the media have made significant improvement over the years to be more diverse and inclusive of everyone. And I think we have come a long way over the last sort of few decades, and that should be acknowledged. But you can't change everyone's views, but yeah,
but you think that there shouldn't be any proper measure and any strict measure? The freedom should be given to these hosts, and then they themselves should have to show the responsibility towards their actions.
Yeah, I mean, you can't tell a person what to say. I mean, you know, in England, freedom of speech, freedom of expression is so important in journalism. But like I said, you can't. You can have a debate, but
Yes.
there's a limit to don't be offensive. Be professional at all times. You can't make racist comments on TV and think you can get away with it because the nation's watching it, and if they're going to think it's okay to make those comments or that it's
Right.
acceptable because someone in the public eye is saying that, and it's
Right.
not. And I think it falls on the actual co-host or the journalist or the celebrity talk show host
Right.
to make those measures themselves. You shouldn't have somebody else telling you
Right.
what's right and what's wrong.
Right. Maryam,
um,
thank you very much indeed for being with us.
that's okay, thank you for having me.
That was Maryam Qaiser, and now moving to the rest of the story details. Golden Globes organizers expel former president over Black Lives Matter email. The organization behind Hollywood's Golden Globe Awards has expelled its former president over an article he shared about Black Lives Matter. Philip Burke, who is 88 years old, had been a member of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association for 44 years and its president for 8 years. In a group email with HFPA members, Burke reportedly shared an article that described Black Lives Movement as a racist hate group. He later said that he regretted sending the email. Coda, a touching drama that became the toast of the virtual 2021 Sundance Film Festival, is coming to the big and small screen this summer. The movie, centering on a teenager who is the only hearing member of her family, is slated to debut in theaters and on Apple TV Plus on August 13th. It's unclear, however, the kind of theatrical rollout that will greet the film since its opening simultaneously on a streaming service. In any case, Apple certainly hopes Coda gets as many eyeballs as possible. The company emerged victorious in a heated bidding war, selling out a record-setting $25 million for rights to the film. Electric Daisy Carnival Las Vegas has officially been postponed to October 2021 from its original May dates. According to an Instagram post from Pascal Rotella, founder and CEO of EDC organizer Insomniac, the festival is being postponed after Clark County passed a reopening plan requiring 60% of the residents to be fully vaccinated. Paisley Park, where Prince lived and worked, will welcome back a select 1,400 fans on Wednesday to mark the 5th anniversary of his death from inside his creative sanctuary. The sprawling studio's atrium will be opened to those who rushed for one of the free reservations, while other fans can leave flowers and mementos in front of the statue erected outside the front doors in the shape of his famous purple love symbol. And that is it from the newsroom. We will be right back after a quick short break. Stay tuned and don't go anywhere. Welcome back. In this segment, we will be discussing about BAFTA versus the Oscars. Now, we all know that BAFTA awards just happened 2 weeks ago, and the Oscars are just around the corner. But the question is, the jury from Oscars is going to copy-paste the same formula adopted by BAFTA? To discuss this further, we have Jessica Fanton with us, who happens to be an entertainment journalist at The Switch. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Right. So the speculations around BAFTA and then Oscar jury, do you think that the Oscars are going to do the same? Because we see a lot of similarities in the nominations. Do you think that it's going to happen?
Short answer, no. The Academy always pride itself on being the pinnacle for cinema, and in that regard, they like to differentiate themselves. Obviously, there are always going to be those standout films, which across all award ceremonies are similar. You know, films like Nomadland and Promising Young Woman and stuff. But, you know, we see with the BAFTAs, they do tend to favour British films. And honestly, with the Oscars, as much as there has been discussion about diversity over the last few years, you've got to give them a hand. Last year, the winner was a non-English film. 8 of the last 10 Best Director winners have not been American or from English-speaking countries. So they do differentiate that way.
Right. And do you think that not much of the effort is being placed by the Oscar jury for the fact that they were given a very limited list of nominations this year. As you know, that the year was very hard on cinema. Not much of the movies got released. So do you think that it's going to be very difficult for the jury to decide this year for the Oscars?
No. Again, short answer, no.
Right.
Everything was really different over the last 18 months or so, but at the same time, we were given almost more films than ever before. The Academy responded to what was happening around the world with COVID, and they altered their criteria to be a nominee, that it didn't have to be in the cinema. They were allowed to nominate streaming films, and there are so many streaming platforms around the world now that there was almost too much choice. We were now privy to independent films as well as the big blockbusters. In fact, there were probably less of the bigger, more mainstream films because they lust after that cinema release, and they weren't afforded it anymore. So we did see small films this year in the nominees, like Minari and like the foreign film Another Round. So on Monday Australian time, it's actually kind of going to be really, really exciting to see what comes from it.
Right. And Jessica, do you think that Oscars should be a little scared from BAFTA because the competition is really tough? The nomination list was huge at BAFTA. So do you think that it's going to ring a bell for the Oscars, and BAFTA is going to be the new Oscars from now on?
I think the Oscars are today and for a long time coming going to be the reigning kings and queens of the film industry and world. It is what everyone aspires to win. I mean, I sound like a nominee myself. It's just an honor to be nominated in all award ceremonies across the world. But you have to admit, Oscars are the big one. They're what cap the award season, and all eyes are going to be on the Oscars.
Right. And also there was an opinion from the entertainment journalists that the Oscars should take cue from BAFTA and implement a jury system to ensure the equity. How much do you agree to that?
The Academy is a jury system. I mean, the Academy is the Academy. You have to be nominated to be a part of it. They are increasing their diversity. I don't like using the word quota, but they are increasing their diversity within the Academy itself. They have a large list of nominations. They funnel it down to get the final list, and then it is a democratic vote. I mean, it is basically the same.
Right. And for the longest, we have seen that BAFTA and Oscars have been, self-congratulatory rituals for each other by the white men in the cinema. Do you think that this stereotype has been broken now, and the amount of diversity we see, do you think that is ample, or there is, more room for that?
Yeah, of course. Of course, it's true. We've seen it in the past, and we will continue to see it to a certain degree going forward. That it is a congratulatory system for white men. But again, this year we have 2 female directors nominated. One of them, Chloe Zhao, is Asian, of course, and let's be honest, it looks like she's going to take it out. So well done to Chloe, a couple of days ahead of time. And that will break the mold, and that will shake up the system, and it's going to be incredible to watch what happens afterwards.
Right. And to make it look fancier, there is also an accusation. I'm not going to say it an accusation, but then there are certain people who are not very happy to know the fact that Oscars always prefers films with large sum of amount, with the productions that have large sum of amount spent on them. Whereas the indie filmmakers who work really hard in a very small budget, at times we see that the quality is similar, but then again, they're not brought into the limelight. So do you think that the jury at Oscar needs to work on that as well?
Of course, always independent cinema. I mean, there are so many undiscovered gems throughout the year, and it would be great if we could finally start to see those filter through into award nominations. But to say that that's always the case is cruel and untrue. Like in the past, we've seen Roma, and again this year, Minari, and there are lots of independent films, obviously mixed in with the big budget ones. Unfortunately, when it comes to award season, we do hear the term campaign, and that's where you really see money start to shine, when you producers of films really use money to push their film, to put it in front of people's faces, so it stays in the forefront of everyone's mind, and it does tend to come through in nominations and award time. So really, it's money on the other side, not really in the production, that really affects award season.
Right. Let's talk about the ceremony itself. Only 170 people have been invited to the Oscars this year, and also they're not required to wear face masks. There are like a lot of different things happening in the ceremony. What do you think, what are your expectations that only 170 people, can they make this ceremony as brighter as BAFTA? Because BAFTA had a lot of attendees, a lot of guests in it. So do you think that, again, there is a tough competition between the ceremonies now?
I think there are no rules anymore. This is the new world. This is the way we are anymore. I think it's hard and almost unfair to compare. Everyone's doing what we can to be safe, to be COVID safe, and to stick within the rules.
Right. But there are certain opinions that the Oscar won't be able to catch as many eyeballs as BAFTA has. So what do you think of this?
I think it's going to catch different eyeballs. I think people are going to be watching the Oscars in huge numbers, if nothing else, out of curiosity. We're going to see something really, really different this year. There's not going to be a host. There's not going to be a ballroom filled with stars. They're going to be in whatever country they happen to be in at the time. I know personally there are a lot of Hollywood stars in Australia at the moment. People are going to be coming out of their homes. And again, the monotony, it's going to be interesting because the monotony of the ceremony isn't going to be broken up by the musical performances that's actually happening in a pre-ceremony event. Unfortunately, we're not going to see Will Ferrell sing his Icelandic song from the Netflix movie. So yeah, I'm certainly watching it. I reckon it's like 50% I'm excited to see who wins, and 50% again curiosity, and I think that's going to be a real draw card.
Right. And Jessica, do you find the nomination list attractive this time? What do you think of it? What are your expectations and predictions about the nominees this year?
Oh well, obviously, it's exciting to see more female and female-led films being nominated. We have 2 female nominees in the Best Director category, as I mentioned before, and it looks like one win. The Best Picture nominees are really interesting because quite a few of them were released on streaming services this year. So, everyone who had their doubts about streaming services over the last couple of years, who aren't really moving with the times, I think are going to be shown something really special. Again, all the documentaries are incredible. The foreign language films are absolutely incredible as well. And also I feel that there's no clear winner this year. It's a really even race. And, while there might be a couple that are just a little bit ahead of the pack, like Nomadland and like Chloe Zhao, but it's anyone's guess.
Right. And surprisingly, Jessica, women have been given a very particular spot this year in Oscar nominees. How do you see this?
I think we're going to see only the second in history best director be a female. I think we're going to see a female led film win Best Picture. I think we're going to see Frances McDormand win her 3rd Academy Award. Her last one was only 3 years ago. I think we're seeing people embrace films like Promising Young Woman and Emerald Fennell, and it is so exciting to see these incredible women take the spotlight where they rightly deserve and their place in the sun. And these are incredible artists, and people are finally seeing what we can do, what they can do, and the world is their oyster from here on out.
Right. So, Jessica, tell us about your personal opinion. Are you excited for the ceremony? Are you going to watch it?
Of course I'm going to watch
Right.
it. I never miss it. It's an
Right.
event in my household.
Right. So it's going to be a whole lot of
huge
event
day.
for you, right, at home.
It's more exciting than Christmas for me, or my birthdays. Christmas and birthday and New Year's all rolled into one. I am a cinephile. I'm a film lover. This is
Right.
Oscar Day is my day.
Right. Jessica, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
That was Jessica Fanton talking about the Oscars versus BAFTA. And that is it from today's episode. We hope you liked it. Don't forget to share your feedback on the social media link mentioned down below. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care and goodbye.